everybody, it's Craig. Welcome back to my channel. And unless you've been living under a rock the last few days, then you know that has recently been an effort and a push to restructure and reshape and resize the federal workforce. And just this, actually, I think it was this evening, or for some people it was last evening or Friday evening, there was an email that was sent out to all the Fed workers again. And as much as I want to move on to other things, as much as there's so many other topics to talk about, it seems like the news just keeps on happening. So I'm going to continue to try to drop some videos that will be helpful to my fellow Fed workers. But there was a video that was sent out on Friday evening, and that video was sent out uh, by OPM, and it was a video with a simple subject line, and that simple subject line is, "What did you do last week?" And if you looked in the body of the email for federal workers, the requirement is for you to do a 5-point bullet style response to OPM, and it's due by 11:59 p.m. Eastern time on Monday evening, on Monday night. And so what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to give 5 bullets of what you did last week. I think it's a minimum of 5 bullets. Now, I've heard some reports that state that if you don't give that response, then it is a sign or an indication of your resignation from the government. And so those are just reports that I've heard. I haven't heard anything like that from any particular agency heads or anything like that. But I believe that Elon Musk, who is involved with Doge, I believe that he came out on Twitter, I believe, or X, and said that if you don't respond to that, then it is indication of your resignation. Now, again, my assumption and my thought process is we will probably have to respond to that email. So I want to make this video real quickly and just kind of give you a couple of pointers if you're concerned about what to put on your weekly activity response email. Just wanted to come out with a couple of pointers that I think hopefully will help you. Now, the first thing you have to remember is who is requesting the data. And we all know that this is OPM. They'll probably come out with something saying this is an official email channel and official resource. So we know that it's OPM. We know we've got to respond to it. What specific information is needed? Well, it's pretty vague. They just say give 5 bullet points of what you do for weekly activity. Now, this will be a little bit more difficult for some people, largely because we have different activities, and sometimes your activities are dependent upon what's going on that week. And so you may not have a laundry list of things to do that week with regard to specific tasks or responsibilities. But I would suggest to you that there are always metrics. There's always project status, there's personnel hours, and then there's budget updates that you can give, because in the federal government, you should always be doing something, right? And so when you think about what specific information is needed, just kind of keep in mind metrics, project status, personnel hours, and budget updates. When is it due? We already stated it's very urgent, and it's due by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And how should the data be formatted? Now, they stated in the OPM email that they wanted the data to be bulleted, right? So you can use a bullet, check marks, just as long as you have specific statements, highlighted statements of what you've done and what specific tasks that you've accomplished over the course of your week. Now, here's a pro tip. If anything is unclear, don't guess about it. Ask for clarification, right? If you're unclear about what OPM is asking, it looks like you can respond to them, or maybe they'll have an FAQ on the website where you can respond. And in that, they did say to copy your manager. So if you have other questions, maybe reach out to your manager about how to respond. The next thing you want to do is gather and organize the data that you have. It just depends on what kind of team you work in. Depending on your role, you might have input from multiple teams that you need. And so you want to streamline that process as much as possible if you got to get data from other people about what you did for that particular week. Okay, find out who has it. Is it IT who has it? Is it finance? Is it budget? Is it operations? Whatever you do, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Make sure you check if the data is already compiled in a dashboard or some kind of system where all you have to do is maybe import or export into an Excel spreadsheet, and then maybe bulletize it from there into the body of your email, and then send it off to OPM. So use as many existing reports as possible. All right, you want to standardize your responses and make it as simple and consistent as possible. You want to make sure you collaborate with other teams so that you guys don't repeat data that you're sending over to OPM, right? You want that data to be your own, and you want it to be individual to the tasks that you completed, right? Another pro tip, and this should be true for most government employees, or should I say all government employees. Um, I know you might be startled by this particular request from OPM, but in actuality, you should already have a running list of your activities for the week. You should always have a running list of the things that you do for the federal government, because remember, we are funded by taxpayer dollars. And so I think one of the biggest concerns, perhaps with the new administration, is, are the taxpayers' dollars being spent well? And you can alleviate that concern by making sure that you keep just a running list of the things that you're doing every week, right? And by the way, if you want more information about how to do that, or what to keep in your running list, or more ideas, please reach out to me, Craig, C at RoyRockLLC.com, and I will make sure that I give you just a little framework to put in there, right? Okay. Next, you want to make sure that your, by all means, make sure it's spell checked properly. Make sure the information is properly formatted. Make sure it's grammatically correct. Those bullet points are what you're going to use, and then you want to really be concise. You don't want to add any fluff. You want to make sure that you're to the point and precise on what you actually did. So instead of saying something like the department worked on several initiatives last week, say I completed 3 major initiatives, 1 process improvement plan, 1 cybersecurity audit, and onboarding 5 new staff members. Or if you do something different, just make sure you be specific. If you are a project or program manager, you want to say that, hey, listen, we spearheaded 1 program. Another program is at 50% completion. And then a 3rd program, we're wrapping up the end of the contract, and we're ready for the new iteration of the past the prototype phase of that contract. Something like that. You want to be very specific with what you're doing. All right. And then finally, when you have all that information there, when everything is correct, look it over, review it, and make sure that it's accurate. You want to look at all the numbers and details. You want to ensure that there isn't any sensitive data. That email was very specific. It said that there is no sensitive data that needs to be shared. So make sure there's no classified data. If you work in a SCIF, or if you work in another highly sensitive area, please don't share any of that information. Well, you should know that already, because there are certain tags, certain markings that you have to put on specific emails or packages or whatever that it is that you send. So make sure that there's no sensitive, confidential, or classified data in anything that you send back to OPM. Do a compliance check, again, do a formatting check. And if you are required to run it by your supervisor before submission, I had seen a couple of reports that I believe it was the NOAA that they didn't want their employees to send it quite yet, because they wanted to game plan on how they would respond to OPM. So just make sure when you guys go to work on Monday, check with your supervisors, because I'm pretty sure you guys will see this all over the news, and perhaps you'll see this video. So if you do see this video, I'm reminding you, make sure you go in there, talk to your supervisor, make sure you square away what you guys want to send, because your supervisor is going to have to send theirs in as well. And maybe you guys want to do it as a team. Maybe there's a standardization process. And maybe you guys want to cover one another with regard to what you're doing on your team, and get that information back to OPM. So let's do a recap real quickly. You want to understand the request, the nature of the request, and the nature of the request is quite clear. I think to everybody who works in the federal government, when you gather and organize that data efficiently, you want to format for clarity and impact and precision, and then you want to review before hitting that final submit button. Listen, I want to hear from you. I want to make sure that the videos that I'm making are covering what everybody needs. Again, this is a detour. I'm going to finish up the other series, but the other part of the series, I've got some videos that I'm going to release, but I really want to know if this is helping everyone. I want to know how you feel. Drop a note in the comments. Leave me a like or a thumbs up or thumbs down. Just any engagement about how you feel about this video and how you're feeling just generally with all these changes that are coming down. What are some of your plans? How long have you been with the government, and how is this affecting you and your family? And remember, we are going to get through this. Everything's going to go okay. I'm going to put together the rest of these videos, and hopefully it'll be a guide for everyone that kind of needs to wade through these waters and get some stability after having this really huge change and really huge transition. That's it for this video. And remember, live royally and live well. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.